everything you're doing today, everything we're going to talk about. This is kind of a great debate. Detroit, can you hear my washer machine? Can you hear
Is
that?
that what that is? No, no,
Oh,
that's fine. Hey, no, I'm kidding. But you're right. It is a great debate, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
because you're no longer a team that's desperate, right? Isn't this an exciting time?
We were never desperate. We were just
there's
rebuilding.
there's no longer we have to, right? You're a team that can decide to. You don't have to anymore.
Mhm.
There's no more we have to. This
Yeah,
is where you
yeah,
want to get as a franchise. This is where the
yeah.
Eagles have been for a couple of years, right?
Hmm.
I'm not saying you have to steal ideas from the Eagles, but you should borrow some. That's what I'm suggesting. That's what I'm suggesting. That's my suggestion. Yes, when
Let's borrow that defensive line. Let's borrow
I
that.
well, borrow how they built the team, right? That
Yeah.
defensive line didn't just show up, right? It didn't just happen, right? They just like he was like he unwrapped his they spun the dreidel, right? And then during the 8 crazy nights he opened 8 crazy defensive linemen. No, they built slowly over time. Built
Mhm.
Milton Williams, who just left in free agency and got a lot of money, was a 4th round pick, I believe, from Louisiana Tech. These are guys that they liked. And yeah, we're going to talk about pass rushers definitively because
Yeah.
that is one of the positions that's like to be addressed, if not the first, then probably the second. It is
Okay.
a
Okay.
good group of defensive pass rushers, right? And not all of them are exterior guys. There's interior pressure guys, including one of
Yeah.
my favorite players in the whole entire draft, who probably will be there for you at 60. And so that's just
Whoa.
called a tease.
Whoa. Whoa.
That's called a tease in the business. That's called a tease in the business, Mark. So
Yep.
we'll come back to that.
Okay.
This
Okay.
is a good draft for your team because
Yeah.
the risky picks are going to be gone already, right? The boom or bust guys are gone already. Solid meat and potatoes players are who you're going to be picking at 28 and 60 and thereon. I like Brad Holmes. I spoke to him briefly at the combine. We reminisced a tiny bit.
You
So
spoke to
he went
Brad
to Hampton
Holmes.
briefly. So I always bother him because he went to Hampton and I went to Norfolk State. And Hampton is like our classier sister, right? Norfolk State is like that. It's like Michigan State versus Michigan, right? Or Duke versus Carolina. We're that public school, the kids that kind of have to have a job after school go to Norfolk State. The kids who
Okay.
have rich parents go to Hampton. So,
Oh, and that's where he went.
or at least parents with a little bit of money, because
Yeah.
Hampton's a private school. Hampton's private.
Yeah.
So I gave him a little bit of trouble about that. Plus, I scouted him. I have my scouting notes.
You scouted Brad Holmes?
Yes. So he had an odd body type for a defensive tackle. Now, he doesn't, if you look at him now, you would never guess. You might guess tight end. You might, but he was a D tackle and a pretty decent one, but was an odd body type, long legs, sort of a odd, but he was a good one. He was a guy who sort of wedge his way in. He had long arms. He was effective. He could get moved, right? Because he was a 267 or so pounder at 6'4.5. But he, in an ideal situation, they probably would have kicked him outside, but they didn't have a better D tackle, so he played D tackle. But yes, I have scouting notes on Brad Holmes. He could have hung around for a while, probably not in the NFL, but he could play. He could have played probably up north or somewhere for a while if he wanted to.
Wow. See now, now I got clout because I got the guy who not only had a father in the NFL. That's what you said, right?
Well, my father played against Roger Brown. When I say played against, he got thrown all over the place. My dad was a 138-pound guard in high school, and Roger Brown, who eventually got to over 300 pounds in his NFL career, was probably at least 230, as about 225, 230 at age 14. So despite the fact my dad was older, he got manhandled. But my late father had some great Roger Brown stories.
Okay. Well, I got it. I got to go through my table of contents. I see the fans are getting restless because
yes, I see that.
Yeah, they're getting restless because they've been waiting for this. They've been waiting for this collaboration for some years now. It's been since 2022 since
I promise it won't be our last time. I promise. I'll at least we'll try to do at least one more because I've got some other commitments, but I'll try to make sure we can do at least one more before the draft happens.
Okay, so let's get into our table of contents. This is what we're going to talk about. We're going to give Brad Holmes a little progress report, catch you up to date, or if you're up to date with what's going on. We also have BPA versus needs. This is a big conversation in Detroit right now.
Correct.
I've seen so many individuals talk about drafting a wide receiver. I've seen podcasts like, look, if all the edges are gone, I'm like, how are the edges gone? They have 20 edges with 20% win rate. How are all of them gone?
They can't all be gone. No, you're
exactly.
right.
But that's a big point of contention. The guard stuff, the tackle stuff with Zabel versus Pierce. If Pierce is on the board, this is going to be a great debate, epic show we got for you. And then we got your draft board, of course. You know, your must-haves. If you're the GM, this, that, and the third. We got Bill's best fits for the Detroit Lions on the clock. So, and then we got a rapid fire mailbag where you, the fan, can comment. And look, you can comment, ask him anything. Well, we ain't gonna overload him, okay? How many?
I will take your questions though. I will take them. Give them to me as you got them.
Okay. So the first thing we need to really highlight is, you know, this. We're running it back with the same old guys. We're running it back.
Correct.
He is he's currently brought in 21 players. He's re-signed 17 players. 18 players. He's re-signed 18, and we are running it back with the same guys, the same dudes. Not too thrilled with that. The new faces, that, you know, the great faces. We've added and bolstered our secondary a little bit. We got DJ Reed as well. DJ Reed was ideally for some the best corner in the thing because he was the best corner. For me, I had particular I had particular like reservations about him because he played alongside a guy who gave up only one touchdown last year. And we know who Sauce Gardner is in Detroit. So
we do. Yes.
Yeah, we know who Sauce Gardner is.
We're familiar with his works.
Yeah, familiar with his work. So what do you feel about these new moves?
Well, both DJ Reed and DJ Reader, right, are guys that fit a need. And that's why I tell people don't worry so much about needs when you're talking about the draft. Free agency, to me, is where you just say, okay, where do we need a player, right? Because you're plugging a gap. That's what free agency is for, to me, is plug a gap. The smartest way, and once again, I know I've already mentioned Howie Roseman, I mentioned probably one or two more times. Howie Roseman says, I'm going to find talent. If it's a position we don't need, guess what? Either this player becomes so good that he overtakes the guy we already have, or if not, somebody else is going to want him. Or if he's bad, we move on from him, right? What he doesn't do is say, gosh, I got to take this player because I need this. As I mentioned when we talked off air, they had just found their quote unquote franchise quarterback on a rookie deal in Carson Wentz when they drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round. And there were people, I saw articles where people called it a wasted pick. Well, that wasted pick just won the Super Bowl. So what you do not want to do as a franchise is start doing everything based on knee-jerk reaction to need. Because slowly but surely that drags down the total talent level of your roster. And while you might get away with it for a year or maybe two, eventually you have a team that is going to have gaps and problems because you keep just plugging in players from the draft. If you plug in players from free agency, while you may pay a little bit of a premium for them, your commitment is shorter, and now you can build long-term the total talent level of the team through the draft. The Eagles are once again, you have to steal, but you definitely should borrow some of the things that they have done. If you look at how they built that team, they didn't say, oh my God, we have to have this, right? They had good players ahead of almost every player they've drafted who's now one of their best players when they got it. Backfilling and allowing players to develop means that when they are ready, then you serve, right? You don't serve up the meal before it's ready. You don't give somebody a cold plate of macaroni. They might choke it down, but let's have a piping hot plate of macaroni. Let players develop. That's how you build a long-term successful franchise. But yeah, let's talk about your actual draft.
Yeah, because I think it's interesting when I look at BPA versus need, okay? I think the Lions have kind of like found this gray area because when they drafted Penei Sewell, they needed a right tackle.
Yes.
But he just
also
happened
was
to be
the best player on the board at that point.
Exactly. my number 2 running back in the draft where we took Jahmyr Gibbs was Jahmyr Gibbs, and for some he was the number 1 running back. I had him as 1A 1B, like type of thing like that, right? Like what's your fire, what's your flame? And you know what happened is we took him, and we didn't necessarily need a running back. So I understand getting the best explosive value player, but when we talk about the lack of explosiveness that we have on defense, and I think that was apparent. There was a lack of eliteness that we seen, and it was really volatile sometimes. Some games, the Bills game, we give up 48 points, and then sometimes we have these dominant performances against the Titans, but who are the Titans? Nobody. So, in this draft, I feel like the best players just happen to be a defensive best players.
It worked out really well for Detroit, right? When you're picking at 28, you're likely to have a shot at 3 or 4 difference makers who will play early. And I'll start with the one, because everyone keeps asking about pass rushers. So I'll start with the guy I think has the best chance to still be on the board. You have a pretty good chance of getting Devin Ezeraku from Boston College. He can stand up. Oh, yeah. If you have a graphic, I guess you can whip that sucker out.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You just keep talking. I'm going to get the graphic.
He can stand up, or he can play with his hand in the dirt. While he's not big enough to be a full-time defensive end, he sets good edges. He's going to play in the upper 240s, low 250s, which is fine. He's got long arms. He's strong for his size. He's just really, really perfect for if you're going like an odd front kind of situation. And because he can play, but everyone's hybrid now, right? So when you've got 4 linemen up there, he can be your 4th lineman, or sometimes you'll jump all the way up to 5. He can be one of your drop-ins if you go into like a 5-2. But if you're playing a 4-2, which most teams base out of nowadays, he's your weak side D-end, and he can drop into coverage if you want to drop him. Now, I wouldn't do it a bunch of times. I would be bringing him off the edge because that's where he excels. He is and there's still growth potential, right? As good as he is, he's not fully developed. He's still on the upswing in terms of what he is as a player. I also mentioned Jedi Barron. Now, Barron may well be gone. The corners could either go really fast or they might flop. Right? It'll be one or the other, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of teams that will pick, once again, will draft for need, right? Despite by telling them not to, there are teams that will draft for need. And so you might see teams chase certain positions like left tackle, like we might see some people chase quarterbacks, even though you should definitely not do that this year, but whatever. A team might take a 3rd or even a 4th quarterback. Please don't do that. But some might. And if that happens, that pushes a better player down to you, right? You want teams to reach, right? When you're a good team, you're rooting for other teams to reach. Hey, yeah, you definitely should go ahead and take
Jackson Dart at 15.
Yeah, take another quarterback. Yeah, do that. Take reach. But
so Ezeraku can fall because of the needs.
Because of that, right. So the threat is a team like the Ravens, who are also a good team, and they also are patient with players. They have guys who can rush the passer, but I think they think, as I think, that Ezeraku is better than the guys they have. I also think Ezeraku is better than the guys they have. So that's your team you have to worry about, right? They're just ahead of you, and they're also wanting some of the same positions that you want. So you may consider a trade up just to make sure that the Ravens don't snipe a guy like Ezeraku, but he's a really good football player. He has a bright future ahead of him. I mentioned also Jedi Barron. Some people see him as a corner. I think he can play outside. He's just under 6 feet tall. I'm sorry, just under 5'11". He's 5'10" and 3/4, 194 pounds. The thing people worry about is the 29 and 3/4 inch arms. I don't worry that much about that. He is a special coverage player. So just so you know, right, they threw the ball a lot. And so when you throw the ball a lot, the teams you're facing also throw the ball a lot. They were in a lot of shootouts at Texas. I mean, I don't think that's really news to anybody. And this guy was in coverage a lot. 518 coverage snaps he played last year. That's one of the tops you'll find in this whole draft class. Now, why do you care about that? Well, you care about that for 2 reasons. Guys that come from more run-heavy situations aren't used to being in coverage as much. And he was by himself on an island. Whether he was inside or outside, he usually drew a tough assignment. And they throw the ball, right? As I mentioned, 61 defenders.
Yeah.
we're in coverage as much or more than him, right?
Yeah.
Even though, so that means he's in the top, near the top amongst all the players in college
Yeah.
amongst that. And he played once again the SEC. Doesn't get much better than that, and they made the playoffs. So he played against really good teams. He defended 10 passes, gave up 0 touchdowns, allowed a 26.5 passer rating when he was targeted as a player. That's the 6th best in all of the power conferences. And once again, none of those are the guys that who outdid him in terms of passer rating faced anywhere close to 518 snaps of pass plays. So you've got a huge sample size to draw from when you watch him play. He is effective in zone and in man. He is smart enough that your system isn't going to be too much for him. Super smart football player.
Oh, yeah. He's not just going to.
Yep. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, yeah. He's not just going to, because I think we played man coverage because when we were playing in zone a lot of years, like 2023, we played the most zone ever. And then we had a lot of guys busting coverage 6. We had a lot of guys not understanding what their stuff was. And then I think Aaron Glenn just went away from that.
Can be confusing for guys that aren't super smart. Yep.
Right. And it's funny with this year, we just played man straight up, no matter what. So we knew whose fault it was, whether it was Terrion Arnold, whether it was this, whether that. We just played man straight up, but we didn't get that interior pressure. And I think that when the fans see a cornerback, even though he's the best cornerback, I think Jahdae Barron is probably the 4th cornerback. See, this cornerback class is so good because Will Johnson, who played with turf toe last year.
Yep.
You got Notre Dame. He has that hip injury. Notre Dame. I forget his name.
I know you're talking about. Morrison is a guy that is a zone corner. If you want to play a lot of man, Benjamin Morrison may not be your guy. But yeah, I'm a fan of his if you play zone. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we have, I forget his name.
I mean, some people like Trey Amos. Some people, that depends on what kind of scheme you run.
Yeah.
As a guy, if you want to play both zone and man, I like Barron because he's scheme agnostic. He's
scheme
good.
agnostic. That's good. That's good to say because
equally good. Yep.
With Jahdae Barron, man, these fans will blow a gasket. They draft a corner, right? I think fans are coming around to the Gray Zabel because it makes sense, and fans are coming around to that. There's still a fraction of the fan base, myself included, that feel pass rusher or else, right? There's a fraction of us that want to build this defensive line to capability. Brad Holmes has drafted consistently defensive line every year he's been here. And, for a guy who scouted and discovered Aaron Donald, we haven't seen no Aaron Donald-esque players. So when you talk to Brad Holmes and when you at the combine and you discuss with him about Hampton and this, I was going to send you some questions, man. I wish I knew you was there. I wish we could.
I tried to speak to you before I got up to Indianapolis. Next year we'll coordinate better. I promise.
Oh yeah, because you're gonna ask some questions on behalf of Spirit of Detroit podcast, okay? And if I guess his draft again, I got him. But there's a lot of fans that are having the BPA conversation. So at 28, I want to know what you would do as Brad Holmes if you were the GM.
Well, obviously it comes down to who's still there. But if Ezraku's there, I'm probably pulling the trigger on him. If he's gone, I know people are going to say, well, just go to the next guy. That's how you get in trouble, right? Just taking the next pass rusher, just because the next pass rusher on the list, is how you end up, once again, dragging down the talent of your team. You want to go to the next best player, not just the next guy at that position.
Yeah.
So now I'm looking at, if Barron's still there, I'm running to the podium for him. If he's gone, now I'm looking at Zabel. And like I said, I know if there's a wide receiver you love, and Luther Burden the third is just sitting there. No offense to Tim Patrick, but you're now getting here's a quick little factoid about Mr. Burden.
Wide receiver, 28. Oh no.
Yes, he's a wide receiver. And once again, I know some people will not love it, but here's what I'll say. He was punted to 20 times when he was in high school. 8 of those he took all the way to the house for touchdowns. And they figured out not to punt to him anymore, right? They stopped punting to him. So he's that after the catch guy, right? Who is explosive and elusive. Now, there are other players you can still consider, right? The D tackles. Who's still on the board amongst the D tackles? If Walter Nolan is somehow still there, that's another run to the podium situation. That's a run to the podium situation. Walter Nolan shouldn't still be there. That should not happen. But weird things happen in the draft. Very strange things happen. So if for some reason teams reached, once again, somebody who should have taken him instead took some other position, and he's just sitting there for you, get him, right? Do it. If for some reason you don't take a D tackle in the first, when you get to 60, I'm going to give you a name. I think this player could eventually be about 90%. There's not another Aaron Charles Donald coming for a while. So don't park, your car outside waiting for one of those to show up. However, here's a player that I think could be about 90% of Cameron Hayward. I think that's what his potential to be, is to be about 90% of what Cameron Hayward is at his peak, and that's Darius Alexander.
Oh, okay.
You may not watch a lot. You may, right? Maybe never watches a lot of Toledo football. I would urge you to watch. Yeah. He's played up against some better competition in his time at Toledo, and he still was dominant, even against when they played up against Big Ten schools and other schools that, or quote unquote better programs. He has length, strength, technique. He's great against the run. He's maybe even better against the pass. And once again, another guy with the arrow is still pointed up, right? He's still getting better. I would grab him at 60 and giggle, right? Grab him at 60 and giggle, because if you are smart in how you use him, you move him around. He, is maybe even over the center's nose in some of your special packages. He can play all the way out to 5 tech. He is a guy who could, once again, I'm not comparing him to Chris Jones, right? That would be a little much, or Fletcher Cox, but he's got some of the same components of guys like Cameron Hayward, Fletcher Cox, Chris Jones. He can, once again, go out and rush the passer on the outside a little bit.
Yeah.
At 314 pounds, right? So a big, strong guy who can play inside and outside.
Who is
this? Darius Alexander.
Oh, yeah. Okay, at 60.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I thought you was talking about 28 for a second.
No, not 28. Not 28. I'm saying at 28, the guys we already talked about. I would target, obviously, Ezeraku is like the ideal. If everything goes, like if God smiles upon the Lions, Devin Ezeraku is just sitting there. Donovan Ezeraku is just sitting there for you, and you just grab it, right? Simple.
Ezeraku's easy money. That's easy money.
Oh my God! And when you consider that, you already have that one established guy that demands double teams. Now he's going to just flat out eat, right? And he's going to create real problems, because halfway through the season, right? Okay.
Oh, well, has no production.
Here's what I'll say about Shamar Stewart. He was in a weird situation. The curse of Texas A&M got him, like it's gotten so many Texas A&M prospects. Both he and Nick Skirton did not have the seasons that they were expecting to have. And both guys are going to slide not so much Stewart because of that freak show combine. He still won't make it probably much past the middle of the first. But could Skirton somehow make it to you? Probably not past. Well, we'll see. Once again, if the Ravens don't take him, right? If he makes it past the Ravens, he can make it to you. If he makes it to you, that was another run to the podium situation. But I think what I like about Ezeraku is the fact that he can stand up, he can reduce down and be on the line. You can play him as a linebacker when you go to sets where you have 3 linebackers on the field. He can play strong side linebacker. Okay. So you have a guy who can do a bunch of different things. And once again, I saw him in coverage. You dropped him in coverage, made him do linebacker drills at the Senior Bowl. I wouldn't do it too much, but if you wanted to do it every once in a while to kind of freak people out, hey, when he's not pass rushing, he's dropping into coverage. You might get a free interception or a tip ball that way, but he's a pass rusher. He's a really good one.
When you talk about my bad.
No, go ahead. I was wrapping up. Go ahead.
When you talk about, am I echoing?
You're fine for me. I don't know if you can hear yourself more than once, but I can hear you just once.
When you talk about a guy like Ezeraku, when you evaluate him and you look at the potential, right, the explosion, right? Will his time come immediately? because right now the Lions are in an interesting place where we don't necessarily care too much about development. We have Hendon Hooker who's developing. We have
Yep.
Broderick Martin who's developing. We have
Yep.
Mekhi Wingo who's developed. We have a lot of development within the roster, and I feel like the fan base changes their mind on certain things because now it's about winning. Now it's about taking advantage of the window, and I think there is a point of desperation with Ezeraku. A timeline for him. I've seen the tape. I've seen the ability. His pass rush win rate wasn't great, but when you turn on the actual tape, he's winning all the time. So you know he's winning all the time, and he's winning in different. He's winning in a myriad
Yep.
of ways. How
Yep.
quickly can a guy like this reach his potential in Detroit?
If you're talking about him, he can play day one as a situational pass rusher, right? You can put him on the field in pass rush downs day one, first game of the season, and he'll give you some amount of production. He'll get 5.5, 6 sacks, even if he just plays 31% of your snaps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, could he be a starter? Yes. I mean, once again, I guess we'll see.
Oh, he's gonna be a starter. There's nobody else. There's nobody.
There you go. Boom. So he's a starter.
Yeah. We got one pass rusher, and we got 4 other guys. We got guys that work at Chrysler, guys that work at the post office. We got a guy at Marcus Davenport. We don't know where he work at.
It sounds like you're not sold on Marcus Davenport. Okay, gotcha.
Marcus Davenport, he like bruh man from down the street. Okay, if you watch Martin, we don't know where he at. We don't know where he work at. We don't know if he's like Tommy. We don't know who he is. He just pop up. He show up. We don't know his job. So, yeah, I'm interested in Ezeraku. That's intriguing, and I think that we're gonna have a myriad of options there at 28. I feel like a lot of the fan base is going to blow a gasket if it's Gray Zabel. I think a lot of people are coming around to the Gray Zabel. I know he's one of your guys. Can you factor in the potential and the ability of Gray Zabel?
Things I like about him, right? He's a guy who has played multiple positions already. And once again, most teams only dress 7 or at the most 8 offensive line. The fact that if somebody goes down, if he has to play center, he's done it a little bit, right? He stayed after practice at the Senior Bowl just to work on snapping the ball more. So he's a tackle by trade, but he's played some guard. His NFL destination is probably going to be guard or center. He's going to be good immediately, right? Now, you have a center, so you might start him out at guard. And then sort of like we just saw with Juergens, once again, I mentioned the borrowing ideas. Cam Juergens started out as a guard in Philadelphia, and now he's their starting center. But he got a chance to spend time with Jason Kelce before he replaced him. So you might do something similar with Rack now, right, where he spends time, sort of follows around like a lost puppy until it comes his time. So you have a player who has the athletic potential that you need. He has the football intellect you need, and he is a flat-out fighter, right? When he gets out of position, when someone initially gets the edge on him, he doesn't give up. He doesn't put his head down. He just says, okay, well, let me get back in position, right? He's like, okay, you beat me, but you didn't beat me. He's really good at fighting his way back, right? He knows where the quarterback should be and will throw his body between you and the quarterback. Almost literally sometimes throw his body between you and the quarterback. He is a guy who will fight and scratch and kick. And once again, bite kneecaps, I guess, is the trademark term you're supposed to use. But he will do that.
A Bears fan is saying he's a Lions fan. I've always been a Lions fan.
That's how you know that you've gained traction, my friend, right? People would rather switch than fight. But this is a good year for the Lions because even when you get down into the other rounds, I know fans particularly just pay attention to the first couple rounds, but there's more rounds. Once again, you got Amon St. Brown in the 4th round, people. So there are other rounds to the draft. Yeah. And there's really good football players to be had everywhere in this draft. So things go ahead.
Go ahead. No, yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that when I walk through, dig through, whatever term I'm going to use through, what I think the positions, like I said, you're going to start with those premium positions, right? And then yes, you fallback position as a center or a guard, but you're looking at things like cornerbacks, pass rushers initially, right? And that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense to look at that initially. And I'm going to give you, if you end up not taking a corner early, I'm going to give you a corner that might even make it to the third round, who's going to be really, really good. His name is Caleb Ransaw from Tulane. He's basically longer armed, but very similar in a lot of ways to Jedi Barrett. Another guy who played a lot of coverage snaps, is really, really athletic, and high football IQ, willing tackler. What else to love about him? Just a terrific young man, right? They literally had to chase him off the Senior Bowl field from like handing his gloves to young people and signing. I mean, and nobody made him do that. No one told him to do that, right? He naturally wants to be a part of your community. Okay. Somebody's gonna fall flat out in love with him when they get him.
Yeah, because the Lions, that's a big thing about Brad Holmes. He cares about character fit, right? He cares about character, the character of the person, and the work ethic of the person. I think fans, after the first 2 rounds, I think fans are going to be open-minded as long as they get their center of the future or their pass rusher of the future or their D tackle. There's guys that I like personally. There's my Ty Robinsons. There's my guys I just love.
Ty Robinson, yeah. That's a fun player. Yeah, he's sort of like Zach Allen. He's a pure power guy. Doesn't have a lot of...
Oh, did I lose him? I lost him.
On their backs, though. He will put people on their backs.
I lost you for a second. A second.
Oh, did you? In my back?
Yeah. Well, no.
Okay.
We go. No, you're not. Oh, wait. You are. There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
I was saying,
I get so...
Your guy Ty Robinson he's an old school. He just comes right at your face, right? He's not a guy with a lot of wiggle, a lot of tricks. He just wants to run through you. But he's a powerful dude. I like Ty Robinson. He is definitely the other guy, right? So if you have your guy on this side, you can have him on the other side. Sort of a Zach Allen type. If you watch Denver, they have sort of a similar player or had sort of a similar player in Zach Allen. Power rusher. I think he also spent time with the Cardinals. So he's played for the Cardinals and Denver. Zach Allen's a similar body type and similar playing style to your guy Robinson. But say, for instance, you don't get a pass rusher in the first or the second round. Don't despair. There's still other rounds. If you don't mind, now, once again, you said guys were ready right away. So these guys are a little more raw, but Olufemi Oladejo is another guy who's available a little later. But
you don't think it's a first round pick?
Oh, he's definitely not a first round pick. I don't think he's a second round pick either.
They were trying to say that. They were trying to say he was a first round. No. I'm like, no, sir.
Not. No.
And then I'm sorry, I got too skilled with my self audience. I'm sorry. I was trying to do too much at one time, bring something in. Like, that's why I got to pay people. So anybody needs employment, $20 an hour for the 2-hour stream. I did. But yeah,
if you're a student in like broadcast journalism or something like that, what a better way to pad your resume? Put this on your resume and get paid internship.
Right.
Landon Jackson is maybe a second round guy. If you're looking second round, Tiamalao from Ohio State might be a second round type guy. But if you get to the third, Oladejo previously at Cal, transfers to UCLA, was a stand-up guy. It was a true linebacker until very recently. So he's a more raw player, more of a prospect who may take a little more time. He's 259. He's up to 259. He's gained about 17 pounds the right way. Honor student also, if you care about intellect. He's a smart guy. Still has a lot of linebacker-ishness to his play. And what do I mean by that? So if you do want to drop him in cover, he knows where to go in like hook curl zone areas. He sees passing lanes well. Now, you probably aren't dropping your pass rusher that often, but it's sort of an added bonus that he still thinks like a linebacker in many ways. Very inexperienced as a pass rusher. So there's a lot of upside there. He only 1 year of tape as a pure pass rusher. It always was a linebacker before. Peyton Swinson is another guy I'll throw in that middle round pass rusher pile as well.
Yeah, I like Swinson. When I looked at Ulu's film, I think he's a better run defender than he is a pass rusher.
so far.
I
Yep.
feel like I feel like when he's going to need time to develop, but his run defense is very good. I think that he can play in a gap and a half or
Yep.
maybe a two gap scheme. Hey, I feel like he doesn't shoot the gap crazily. He doesn't go for the sack. He's a person
Right.
that stops the run. He's very
Yep.
effective with that, and he chooses to be that effective first. And hearing him talk at the combine, I'm sure you was there. You was there.
I was
Hearing him
there.
talk at the hearing him talk at the combine about the position change and just getting the best 11 on the field, that matters to me a lot, because it wasn't he can't play linebacker. No, it was like, look, we want the best 11 on the field. We feel like you can do this, and he went and took that spot. I'm gonna go into rapid fire because
Okay,
I
let's
guess
do
we got
rapid
20.
fire.
I'm going rapid fire because they asking questions and stuff.
I have
So I got
answers.
okay. So Elijah Roberts from SMU. What do you think about him?
That's an interesting player. I first of all, shout out to people being on to Elijah Roberts. I think that you're getting a player who will find the way onto the field fairly early. May not be a starter immediately, but that is a player you'll see some of once again in packages initially. He's another one of those tweener-ish players. He's played in a 3-4 or played in odd fronts in the past already. He has some odd front experience. If you see him as a pure 4-3 pass rusher hand in the dirt, you might be a tiny bit disappointed at first, just because that's not quite what he is yet. I think he's a rotational player because he's a bigger body, right?
Okay.
So some people will see him as a 3-tech.
Yeah.
Right. He's got long arms, right? 33 and 5/8 inch. So that's big, giant hands, 10 1/4 inches. He's a big body, he has a natural big frame. Some teams will tell him to put on 17 pounds and play 3-tech, right? Some teams will say put on, 7 pounds and be a 5-tech. And some teams will say, we're going to move you around, right? You'll be a little bit of everything. But I don't think he's ever be a pure pass rusher, just elite pure level pass rusher, just because he's not incredibly twitchy and he's not incredibly elusive. Like he's never going to make guys struggle to find him in tight areas. People are going to get their hands on him just because he's a bigger guy and not super elusive, but he has power and length. So that'll enable him. He sets good edges, right? So if you care about pass, and some people don't care, that's pass rush. We also care about run defenders at defensive end. He's one of the better run defender defensive ends. Now, that's less sexy, but he'll never be a great pass rusher.
Okay. Motor City Mia, what do you feel about Jordan Birch, the D from Oregon?
This is one of the players that has made a good amount of money in the last couple of months. If you talk to people about him in October, you're hitting 5th, 6th round, right? That's what you're hearing.
Oh, wow.
In October, as late as October. And then he's been on a steady climb. And now he's probably he's probably in the top 100. He's probably in that 88 to 110 range on almost any team's board. And he's going to go somewhere, I think, in the middle to late 3rd round. I think that he'll be another one of those. I know it sounds like a broken record, but move around player, right?
Jordan Birch.
First of all, I want to say positionless football, right? We'll never get to positionless football, but
that's a Detroit thing. Don't worry.
But guys that on one down are lining up, in this gap, and then another down are lining up out here are becoming more and more prevalent. And Belichick is one of the guys that sort of started that trend, right? Because Belichick, with his little radar fronts and his, you never know where so-and-so's lining up stuff, he helped to encourage this. And I think the trend is going to continue. Things I like about it. Well, good athlete, first of all, right? I mean, when a guy's athletic, that makes up for a lot of other issues a guy might have. He's a good athlete. 2, he has been asked to do multiple things already in his career. He can play in space, right? We can see him get out on things like zone read and even true option, right? He's played a little bit. If you find you can find the tape where he's played even in option situations. He's out in space and he doesn't look truly uncomfortable, right? It's not the thing you love, but this is a guy that ran 4.6, right? and he's got a decent sized frame on him. So when you combine that size, right, a guy's playing in the 290s with being able to
4'6".
run like he runs, that's special. Now, you've got to figure out what you want to do with it, right? Because once again, he was a move around guy. He's done a little bit of this. He's done a little bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to at some point say, we want you to major in this and minor in that.
Yeah.
As a pass rusher, frankly, he has power. You like that, right? Big guy. He has pop. Like he comes out of his, comes out of his stance with intent. His technique's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you've got the burst part. You got good, decent hand usage. What you don't have is a lot of variety. He's a long arm stab guy. Boom! Right? Here's that big long arm and that power. He can convert speed to power. He can power rush with the bull rush, and he's got that long arm stab. That's kind of it. I've seen him occasionally throw in a rip, chop, and even a spin and lift. It didn't look great, partially because of his height. Like taller guys struggle with the spin move, but I saw him try to learn it. Things I like about him: big, athletic, and wants to be a good pass rusher. Will he become an elite level pass rusher? I'd say maybe not quite elite, but could he get to the upper second tier? You know what I'm talking about? Like
9 sacks,
he
10
might
sacks.
never be, a
Aiden
guy who's
Hutchinson.
an all-pro. Right. Well, he could get to that level actually, but I think more likely he settles in at the. Could he get to Danielle Hunter level? Close. Yeah, he could get to the close to that level. I think he's a guy that's a 7.5, 8 sack guy. Right. I think he develops into a 7.5, 8 sack.
That's more than we had outside of Aiden. So
right. Correct. Right. It is. It's so. Yeah,
I know you're gonna give a full diagnostic with the questions. I know you're gonna get the full diagnostic.
I thought it was the first time I saw them try to pick players not just based on ability. I saw them try almost too hard to, you see how they say throw a pass, don't aim it. It was like he was aiming. You know what I'm talking about? Like don't aim, throw. And I like Brad Holmes, right? I am a big Brad Holmes fan. And I want to make it clear that I wanted him in Pittsburgh when it became clear he's moving on. I wanted him to replace.
Oh, we lost sound. We lost. There we go. You wanted him to be the GM of Pittsburgh?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Because, and once again, no offense to Kevin Colbert. Kevin Colbert had a long and mostly successful run in Pittsburgh, but he lost a little something off his fastball. I think even he would admit his last few drafts were not his best work. But
that's you're throwing shots. Yeah.
I'm just saying. This is a guy that had killed some drafts earlier in his career, and then towards the end, he lost a little something. That's all I'm saying. And I think he would admit that it wasn't some of his best work. Okay, my first issue with Terrion Arnold, obviously, is he was a grab guy in college. And you could sort of get away with that in college. They will throw flags on you all day, every day in the NFL. And he has cleaned some of that up, but he's got to. I'm old, right? I'm old enough that one thing they do in the old days, if you grabbed a lot as a defensive back, they'd make you practice with boxing gloves on, right, to try to break you of that. I don't know if they still do that with guys, but somebody's got to get him to you defend with your feet and not so much with your hands. But he's going to be a good player. He's going to be a good player, but
he's going to be to work. Is he going to be a R.W. McQuarters?
You're a masochist. That's why I'm starting to figure out your personality type. No, I don't think he's gonna be R.W. McQuarters. But he's got some technique things to clean up. I'm not exactly breaking news there. He's got to get his eyes and feet to do more work, his hands do less work. Ennis Rakestraw is going to be something. Don't give up on him, right? I wasn't thrilled about the Giovanni Manu pick. That wasn't a guy I would have gone with there.
No one was. Okay. That was a 6th round pick. That was a 6th round. You know it's bad when they don't show no film on him. No film at the draft. They no film is available. We just gonna cut the commercial.
I'll be honest. I I wasn't mad, even though I liked other guys better than Arnold, but I wasn't mad at that pick. Rakestraw I thought was decent value. I wasn't thrilled about the Manu pick. I was not. Sione Vaki is a tough guy. He's going to help you in different situations. Were there better players still on the board? I would say yes. Wingo is, don't give up on him yet. He may never be, a stud or a guy that, he'll never light it up, but he'll be a solid player. He'll find his place somewhere. Mahogany, I still think I wouldn't give up hope. The only really bad pick, like there's no excuse for it, is the Manu pick. Like I can't defend it. I can't. I'm not gonna lie. I can't defend that pick. No, I'm not gonna lie.
People in Detroit,
was there a little bit of a reach? A little bit of a reach on some of these picks? Yeah. Slight reach on some of these other picks. Slight reach.
I would have picked Jaden Wiggins. I would have picked Braden Fisk in the first round. I would have picked Braden Fisk, and I would have had 8 sacks from the interior. I would have picked Braden Fisk, and people would have said, "Why? He's not a first round pick." No, do you see what he did in LA? I mean, he couldn't run defend, but you see what he did.
Right.
Exactly.
The old joke about playing the run on the way to the quarterback, but yes, he understood the assignment. Though they knew that they had to get interior pressure, because now you're saying to people, okay, you want to double outside? Okay, do that. Now your guard is going to have to try to handle this freak show athlete who all he cares about is knocking the crap out of your quarterback. And so he just flat out whipped a lot of, and when they tried to double team him, he wasn't there, right? He was gone already, right? So, double team's not a double team, but the guy's already past you. So you're right. I like Fisk a lot. I was a big Fisk
I would have got him at 28, and I would have. I got the videos to prove it.
He was my number 25 overall prospect, so I'm not mad at him going at 28.
So I know what I'm talking. Wait. You seen me predict players before?
I have.
Oh yeah. You seen me predict the pick and the player to the team, and you seen me do that, right?
I have seen. I have.
You got to get me a job at the combine. You got to give me. You got to get me close to the NFL. You got to get me close.
We'll talk. Come up with me next year. We'll talk more. We'll talk in the weeks leading up to next year's combine. Let's start doing some stuff together. But don't give up on Mahogany. Don't give up on Rakestraw.
Yeah.
Manage your expectations for Vaki and Wingo, who will become contributors, and then get Terrion Arnold once again. Just you play defense with your hands and with your feet and your eyes. Your hands are just there to guide, right? You shouldn't be trying to make the play, except on the ball, right? That's the only place where you should be using your hands to make the play. Your hands make the play on the football. On the man, your hips, eyes, and feet should be doing the work, right? You're mirroring and matching, or you're bumping and bailing, or whatever it is your technique is in that situation, but you're trying to beat the guy to the spot. Right. If you're consistently grabbing, it means you're not anticipating. You're not reading the route combinations effectively enough.
Yeah, and I think that was his thing, that he wasn't thinking. He was just, because I seen him yeah. Matter of fact, let's talk about the draft. We don't have to talk about
Let me talk about that. We'll get.
We don't have to talk about Sub-Zero. He got so many.
What do you want to know? Right, we'll get to that. What do you want to know about Jaden Higgins? Okay, he is a wide receiver 2 or 3 if you're super deep at wide receiver, but he's going to find his way into the NFL and be productive. Body control is good for a receiver his size. Hands are very good. He can run routes. He's a plus athlete. He's not quite the elite level route runner, and he may never be an elite level runner, but he runs routes well enough. Things I look for him to do, right, if he's in the next level. Look at the production that the Chiefs got out of Rashee Rice before he got obviously hurt this past year. Higgins is a better athlete, or at least I would say, yes, it's close, but a slightly better athlete, about the same size, and with even better, slightly better ability to separate, right? Even though he's not an elite separator, there's really good things to be found in his profile, right? So when I break him down as a player, I mean, 4.47 with his body type is what you're looking for. A big body who can run. And while he's not going to consistently win get all the time against everyone, right? But he has your football IQ you're looking for. He has soft, reliable hands. He very rarely drops the ball. He's just not going to ever wow you in certain situations. But you put him in the slot, right, and tell him to just physically overwhelm slot corners. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Right?
Yeah. Jaden Higgins is Tim Patrick. People want Tim Patrick replaced with Jaden Higgins.
Right. Well, he gives you Tim Patrick plus, if you want to think of it that way, because he's going to be a little bit better after the catch than Tim Patrick, right? He can do a little bit more after the catch because once again, he's got a little more pop. He can go once he gets the ball, when he gets rolling. He's not a guy that has that instantaneous speed just because of his body type. But once he gets going, he can pull away from people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I got to catch up with these comments. So I want you to think of one word that comes to mind with the players that are said, like one word.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to limit you. I'm not trying to limit you.
I'll do one word. You said, no, give me a limit. Otherwise, it keeps you from overrated.
Oh, wow. Dang.
I mean,
dang. Can you expound on that? Damn.
I can. He's a good player. Okay. He's a good player, but okay, let me rephrase that. He's probably about correctly rated now. He was overrated coming into the season. That's why. So let me contextualize. When he was seen as the overwhelming number one D tackle in the class, that was not correct. That was incorrect.
Because he shoots the gap, he doesn't finish.
Correct. Okay. See, right. Okay.
He goes after sacks and he don't finish. I watched the tape. Right. I watched the all 22. We got it on the man. Boy,
talk about you and I need to do more work together because I'm sorry. I already liked you. I'm starting to like you more. So if you just want. So I'm going to use a term. That my friend Jim Coburn put out there. Right. He said he's a fatherless pass rusher. I mean, a childless pass rusher. What he means by that is you get a lot of penetration, but no production. So he is a childless pass rusher. Penetration without production.
Childless pass rusher. Hey, look. I guess he wrapped it up. Or it pulled out. I don't know. Whatever he did. Because, when I seen it, go ahead. When I seen the win rate.
Disruption. But he would miss the play so often.
Completely.
It
was like almost intentional.
Yep, running back sometimes got big plays because he made a hole for them, right?
Exactly.
It's like, thank you very much. I'm going to cut back right through here. Exactly. He would be this far from the quarterback on he could have had 20 and a half sacks last year if he just knew exactly where to be. But the things you like about him is, yes, he's a powerful, athletic guy. But my God, you've got to get this kid in the film room, and you've got to tell him it's okay to figure out where you're going first, to know where you're going. Right. Don't just go. Figure out where it makes sense to be. If you can get him
Go ahead. Remember how LA moved to that gap and a half system? You had Michael Brockers in that gap and a half system. And instead of shooting the gap, he was just patient. But he had control of the gap. Even though Aaron Donald was on the other side, he still had the better run defense in that system because he was just patient with the gap. And it would just put his, his shoulder over there. Yep. And then once that running back committed to a gap, especially when we talk gap scheme and when we talk about traps and all these other things, or whams, and when they commit to whatever gap they're going, whether it's a B, or if it's outside zone and they're trying to cut back, then he shoots the gap. He stays patient, then shoots the gap.
What you're literally doing, as you said, is you're taking this inside shoulder, you're putting it at the 50-50 point of the gap, right? Mm-hmm. And you are locking out, right? Getting control, or trying to at least get control of that blocker, who you either are going to peekaboo with, right? You think I'm going this way, but I'm going that way, or you're literally throwing him into the mix and then sort of shoving him this way, and then now you occupy the gap. And if it's a run play, particularly, you're wrapping up the running back or things like that.
Exactly. Because if you use context clues of the game situation, it's 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10. Now you can know. Now you know what to do. It's 3rd and 19. Now you know it's 4th and 10. Now you know what to do. And if you get hit on a draw play, I think draw plays went down 50% in the last 4 or 5 years. But if you get hit on a draw play on a 4th and 10, chances are you got backup help because you got linebackers, you got 7 other people behind you. So he needs to understand the context clues of the situation. Is it 3rd and 5? Or is it first and 5? Did we just have a penalty? Like, if he understands the context and uses his head together and put it with the athleticism, Alfred Collins could be a dog. He could be a dog. It's like he missing some type of intelligence or something. I don't know what it is.
Someone needs to teach him where his eyes should be and slow down, right? Slow down. If he can learn where his eyes should be, because the eyes will take you to the, if you know how to trust your eyes, the eyes will take you to the play. Your eyes will take you to the play. But he either doesn't trust his eyes. It looks almost like he's playing with his eyes closed at times, right? You know what I'm talking about? Where it's almost like, I'm just going.
He's like,
I'm just going.
I'm just going. Let me just get back there and see what I could do.
I'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
Right. I'll figure it out later. Yeah. Once again, childless. A lot of penetration, no production.
Okay. Now, you like Torrey Horton?
These are 2 of my guys. Okay. So look at the game that Horton had. Now, he's not on. I want to make it clear. It's not like he's singled up on Travis Hunter the whole time. He's not. But he had a pretty good game against Colorado for those who watched that game. And I won't say he cooked Travis Hunter. That would not be correct. But he managed to do a little bit of business. I think they were singled up on each other just a handful of times because they moved Horton around. Hunter doesn't so much travel, but Horton moved around. But a few times he was on Travis Hunter. He had a couple of catches on it. I think 3. He had 3 catches on it. But he's a big, once again, some of the things we just said about Higgins, but you could probably get him later than Higgins, right? Because Higgins is a little more of a known quantity. Probably a round later, if you didn't get Higgins, you like Higgins, about a round later, you could probably get Horton. Once again, a guy with size, a guy with speed, really good hands, good body control. Even in college, I saw him practice getting the two toes in, right? Which you don't have to do in college, but I think he was just getting ready, right? He would drag both toes. And then I'm a Quincy Riley guy, so you played right into my wheelhouse here. Now, Riley can play, once again, we talked about Jedi Barrett, inside or outside. I think he can do either one almost equally well. Has really good recovery speed. Was the 100 and 200 meter champion, 3A for the state of South Carolina. So that tells you, they got some guys who can run in South Carolina. So that tells you about his speed. He's an older prospect, right? He's already 24 and change. Okay, so that's Riley. The one thing. That's why he's going to go later. He's an older prospect, but he's got all the stuff you're looking for. You're willing, not a devastating tackler, but a willing tackler. Has a certain amount of pride in getting guys down. He's not a blow you up guy, but he's a get you to the ground guy as a tackler. And he can read. He's smart, right? He gets his hands on a lot of footballs. Former wide receiver, right? In fact, was recruited originally as a wide receiver and got kicked over to defense. So has the ball skills, route recognition that you like.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone asked about Vincent from the HBCU. And what do you think about that?
So the only HBCU player invited both to the Senior Bowl and the Combine, which to me is a shame. Kendall Bowler, whatever. We'll talk more later about that. There's some other guys who should have gotten invitations, but he did get invited. He is big and raw, right? That is true. Almost 6'6", 6'5", 7/8". You could tell that he hasn't had all the strength, conditioning, and nutrition stuff other guys have. He's got a little, even though he's a slender, in air quotes, tackle, he's still soft-ish. You can tell that he hasn't been in the same level of strength and conditioning program some of the guys have been, but his natural movement skills are right there with some of the top guys. He's got some technique stuff to work on. He's got to do a better job keeping guys off his chest. He's got to do a better job of sinking down, especially taller guys. Sometimes you have trouble sinking down in their stance. If he gets stronger, which he should, right? Because he got all the length and movement skills you ever want in a left tackle.
Yeah.
He has to get stronger. He's got to bend more and better, and be more violent with his hand usage. Don't let him get close to you, right? Stop letting those dudes get on your chest plate. That was the issue he had in the game. He had a pretty good practice week, but in the actual Senior Bowl game, let some guys get in on him. Yeah. And I guess the adrenaline hit for those guys. Yeah. Right. Yes, correct. Yeah. You saw that. That's because he didn't. Right. You saw that. But that was all just him not firing his hands violently enough. You've got to shock those guys with your hands.
Right. I think there's a silver lining to, having a GM that was from an HBCU and, a team that, probably needs his position or can translate him to another position. Because with Manu, there's reports. Nobody knows. They just say they know. And then, the fans just go where they go.
Okay.
Anyway, there's reports that Manu is going to be a better guard. I don't know. I don't care because Manu was a terrific reach. So it was a mind blowing decision. But what happens right now is we want alignment. We want someone, but we don't want to sacrifice this pass rush, right? Because when we look at the Jack Campbells, the this, or that, we have to get 4 productive players. And on this channel, we're saying that on defense, we have to get 2.5 rotational guys on the defensive line.
Correct.
And the cornerback class is so unique. The Lions only have 7 picks.
Yep.
Unfortunately, you need 8 things in my mind. You need like 8 quality backup. You need 4 quality backups, 3 guys that can start, and 1 dude that you could develop. And
so maybe you trade back with one of those when somebody's desperate, maybe for somebody. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But let me give you one other late. If you decide to double up on pass rushers and take one late, I'm going to give you my favorite mid to late day 3 pass rushers, Colin Oliver from Oklahoma State. He and David Walker are the 2 sort of short pass rushers, but they're both really good, really refined, really developed, sleek, quick, good power, tremendous get off, guys that give you production, knows how to flatten and shorten the corner, high effort player. And both of them can play a little stand-up Sam linebacker. If you go to a 3 linebacker set, they can play Sam. And then once again, slide in and rush the passer in your pass rush sets. So if you want to double up, you take 1 early and 1 late. The 1 late, the 2, I'll give you 2 names, but the one, like I said, Colin Oliver from Oklahoma State and then David Walker from Central Arkansas are 2 late, day 3 types that I think are going to be good pass rushers.
Okay. I'm sorry. There's like 100 comments. We're like, right. I don't know if you see the comment, but we're like right here, and there's 100 down here. So I'm gonna just do the 1-word thing, and I'm gonna try not to get.
Yeah, I'll do the 1-word thing. I can do that. Just pick the ones that you think are the most interesting, and I'll throw you a 1-word at them.
Oh, okay. Eric Yomana.
Yeah, freak. That's freak.
All right. Okay.
He's freak.
All right. I'm just only doing this only. Oh, Morrison versus Amos. Who's better?
Are you playing man or zone?
In this defense, we don't know yet. We don't know.
Okay.
We have no idea what Kelvin Shepard. Shepard said he would like to play more zone, but I don't think these guys are gonna. I think these guys are gonna get busted coverage because when we were playing that cover 3 and that man, or we were making it look, we were, just having Kirby be a free range safety. Everybody understood their assignment because in the cover 3, all that boundary and sideline corner doing is just dropping back. Everybody, everybody's had the same spacing. So if we're playing man, it's probably Trey Amos. I'm guessing, and we're playing zone.
100%. Yep, because Morrison is smart and tough, and all the stuff you want, except turning and running, not what he majored in. Right? It's just not the strength of his game. You make him turn and run, you're going to give up some big plays. But if you want to play top down, if you want to have a guy that, is sort of Richard Shermaning it as a player, then Morrison's your guy because he's got the intellect.
Right. Za Frazier, Porter. Like, I like them. I like their game, but I know exactly what I am. I'm a disciple of Seattle. I know what I am. That's who introduced me to cover 3 coverages and Tampa 2, which was a real cover 3. So that's what I'm a disciple of. I'm telling y'all right now, I've been watching film since 8th grade, but never mind. No one cared. Anyway, what do you think about Cam Jackson?
Oh, okay. If I'm trying to do 1 word, intriguing. If I'm trying to keep it to 1 word.
Okay. Can you expound on intriguing? Because I gotta hear that.
Yeah. Okay. So some players are used ideally in college. So they're used in such a way that you see all their strengths and all their weaknesses. Some guys are used in such a way that you don't see all their strengths and all their weaknesses. You're seeing what the team needed, right?
Yes, sir.
He's clearly, I'm not telling anything people already know. Cameron, right? I guess he's named after the rapper. Is clearly a guy who occupies that classic old school, big bodied, just muck it up guy on the interior. If we think about the Stroud Henderson guys, right? We think about maybe not quite Kevin Williams. It's not quite that. That would be going too far. But he's a guy that isn't going to ever. He just isn't athletic enough to chase stuff down. But if it's right there in his face, he's going to eat. Right? He's going to eat if it's right there in his face. He's got length. He's got strength. He's ginormous. He's just a huge human being. He will eventually be a starter. A very poor man, right? Very, very poor man's version. Like, once again, you look at what Jordan Davis does, subtract some athletic ability from that. Because Jordan is like a 80-something percentile athlete. This guy's like a 51 percentile athlete. So it's a discount. It's a Timu kind of thing, whatever.
He's a Timu. He's a Timu. Cam Jackson is the Timu. Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis is a freak, right? You're not getting that. But he's that guy that he takes up a lot of space, and if it comes at him, right? Venus flytrap D tackle, right? If you come into his area, he'll eat you.
Oh yeah. You know what? The way you're describing him reminds me of that big dude from Florida. I just seen the tape on that huge.
Well, he is a big dude from Florida. A lot of big dudes in Florida, but he's one of them.
The one, the Florida Gator, number 21. I forget his name.
You're about Troop, right, or whatever the other one. But but they had them both on the field at the same time at points. I mean,
oh God.
Yeah, they're both enormous guys. Now 21's more athletic, obviously. Yeah, that's the big difference. He's
450 pounds. Yeah, 450 pounds.
He can actually run a little bit. Right, that's the difference. He can run a little bit.
You think he'll get drafted?
He'll get drafted when his time comes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he's in this class. I don't think he's not in this class, right? He's still in school. I'm almost certain.
Oh, he just had a pro day, 450 pounds.
Oh, he did. Okay, then he is in this class. Somebody will take him late.
Okay. Tonka Hemingway.
Okay.
We know.
I'm gonna go in reverse. I'm gonna go in reverse order. I'm gonna start with Ricky White. Ricky White has everything you want but speed. He's got everything else in the world you can possibly want but speed. I know. I get it. People love speed. Speed's fun. It's more fun to scout fast guys than guys that aren't fast.
Yeah.
But he knows how to separate. He has fantastic hands. He's a terrific special teamer also, right? One of the top guys in terms of blocking kicks. He's blocked PATs, field goals. He's a really good special teams player. He'll be a wide receiver 4/5, depending upon what your needs are. But he's going to be a good football player. He's going to hang around the league for 6 to 8 years. And then Tonka Hemingway is, if we're doing the one word thing, I would say mysterious. But if we're not doing the one word thing anymore, then I'll continue to talk. The thing, his best film, you're thinking day 2 if you're watching his best film. The problem is he's not always the best version of himself, right? And sometimes that's not always the player's fault. Sometimes there's other things that make a player not look fantastic. But there are some things definitely to. So I'll start with strengths first, right? Always say something nice first. So I'll start with his strengths, right? He's a guy that has played against a high level of competition in high school and obviously played against a high level competition in college. So he's used to playing against good football players. He hasn't seen many bad football players in his life, right? He was a guy that has been on kick return and punt return, punt coverage, field goal block, field goal unit. He's got arm length. He's got a wide, powerful upper body. Like physically, he's exactly what you want. Like he's physically exactly what you want. He's the younger but bigger brother of Junior Hemingway. For those who remember him from Michigan, that's his older but smaller brother. He's gonna play in the 290s, the low 300s. He shouldn't get much heavier than that, even though he's got some power to him.
Mm-hmm.
Quickness is what makes him good. You don't want him to be 320 pounds, right? Because now he's no longer the player that you fell in love with.
Yeah.
He is a guy's going to go somewhere around pick 171, somewhere in that range, somewhere in the
Okay.
yep, and be a good contributor.
Oh
He
yeah.
is he's a rotational 3 tech. Remember Turk McBride? Does that name
Nah, I
ring any bells
remember.
for Turk McBride? From University of Tennessee, knocked around the league for about 7-8 years. That kind of player.
Oh no.
Give me that kind
A Dimitri Autry type player. Just get, I got a new job this week.
But he's going to knock around. He's going to people will, especially once again, single gap. Just ask him to just go, right? You know those guys that you best just to go. Just tell him go, right? But he's got some twitch to him. He has some moves too. He's got an arm over. He's got a club swim. He's got a club rip. He can jump from his gap over to the opposite side of the, like from one guard. He can make it from one guard to the other like that, right? If
That
you want
sounds
him
like
to
a good
suddenly
player.
run, yeah, he can. He
Tonka
just
Hemingway?
isn't super. Yeah, Tonka Hemingway. He's just not super powerful, right?
Okay.
So he can get kind of bopped around against, once guys get their hands on him, he can get blocked and stay blocked a little longer than you'd like. So you probably want to work on disengaging from blocks more and better.
Right. So David Walker. Matter of fact, they got 50 more comments, so I got to do the one word thing.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to one word.
So yeah, I thought we could do it.
One word, underrated. That's
underrated.
On David Walker. Underrated.
David Walker need to be a first round pick for the Lions. I'm just David Walker, maybe third round. What round you see him going in?
Yeah, he's probably a day 3 guy, but part because of his lack of length, right? People look at him; he's a short, squatty, but people are like squatty, short pass rushers. He's a really good squatty, short pass rusher. Like, don't let the 5'11" and 7'8", 247-pound thing scare you too much. Right. He's gonna find a way to produce. I promise.
Okay. Jalen Noel has been compared to Amon Ra. That's good.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, that pump the brakes on that a little bit. But now he's closer to what's the kid? He's a bigger version of the kid that the Ravens just drafted last year.
Zay Flowers? No, not Zay.
He's closer to Zay, right, than he is to Amon. Amon-Ra is a guy who has quickness and power, right? People forget how strong. First of all, Amon-Ra's dad is what, former Mr. Universe or whatever.
Yeah,
this kid's been lifting weights since he was 4 or something crazy. He's pound for pound, maybe the strongest wide receiver in the NFL. He wins with power and quickness. Noel is explosive. Oh, if you guys got Jalen Noel somewhere like 3rd or whatever, that would be so much fun. Now, I don't know where you would play him, but get him on the field somehow. He's a fun, explosive player.
A lot of passes to go around. You got players that we got. Laporta had 700 yards. J-Mo had 1,000. We got Amon Ra had 1,000, and before that he had 1,500. So now the offense is a little more balanced. You got Jahmyr Gibbs. We were promised to see Jahmyr Gibbs in the slot working with the passes because he was doing route combinations and stuff. We barely saw that. We see hook and ladders. I don't know what's going on. Never mind. I could talk about that all day.
I mean, he's a fun, explosive player. Yeah, I'm a fan.
Dayon Walker. Now, I got one word: injured, hurt.
that is one word.
Damaged.
And he's the kind of guy who's probably going to have back problems his entire career. So you got to manage him very carefully.
This is actually who the Lions would draft. I'm telling you right now. Matter of fact, my draft board for them is like considerably. It's the guy from Michigan, the pass rusher. It's Dayon. And I think Dayon's going to fall to maybe like the 4th round because of the vertebrae. Remember, he fractured his vertebrae.
When you're a big guy with a bad back, like I don't know if you know like a lot of football history, but it almost never turns out well when you're a really big guy with a bad back.
Oh yeah, like Levi Onwuzurike.
There's big guys with bad backs don't tend to. There's some exceptions, but usually it's a thing that you have forever.
Okay, what do you think about Pat Bryant?
Another guy, everything but speed. If only this kid could run faster. But he's a terrific special teamer. and he blocks like he means it. If you like blocking wide receivers, there's your guy.
They
Pat
love that
Bryant
here.
blocks. He blocks like you said something about his mother, right? He really wants to block. Like a lot of wide receivers block because they have to. He blocks like he wants to. Once again, body control, hands. If you saw him run the gauntlet drill, right? He ran the gauntlet drill almost faster than he ran the 40. Like the good thing about him, though he's a low 4.6s guy, is he plays every bit, right, of his speed. You get every bit of his speed in his play. So he may actually play a slightly faster than he times.
Yeah.
Hands, terrific. Blocking, exceptional.
Yeah.
Route running, above average. Body control, close, just short of elite, right? So everything but speed.
That's fine. You know, in Detroit, we like people just block. See, we like Ford Chrysler workers playing on the Lions. That's what we like. We like, you know, Ford Chrysler, the post office, you know, whatever, you know, people that could work at Coney Island. That's right. What we get the regular dudes. That's why I like Dolak. If we gonna get Dolak and Teddy Buchanan, guys like that. Look.
Okay, so okay. You know what I'm gonna say? Tough guy. Well, that's 2 words, I guess, but he's a tough guy. Okay. He's a tough guy. He is.
I seen the tape. Yeah, he's nice. He's nice, and he don't care about getting in the mix. He don't.
No,
care.
he will mix it up. That is definitely a guy that will throw his body on in there and just mix it up. Cal has some guys this year, man.
Yeah,
they've got Noel Williams. They've got Wooden. I like one of the most underrated safeties. That kid Wooden. Somebody's gonna get him day 3 and be thrilled.
Guess who he met with? He met with the Vikings twice. And he's too intelligent. See, everybody looked at him like he was a slow, just smart dude that understands coverages and breakdowns. And since he's not related to Rod Woodson, it doesn't matter.
No,
but he's literally
better than you think, man. He's
exactly.
Most people think, at least.
I think he ran a 4.49 or a 4.5 flat. He ran
4.49. But here's the thing I love about him. This guy tracks the ball like a wide receiver, man. His ball tracking is like, there are some wide receivers, frankly, who don't track the ball as well as him. Like straight up. He has elite level ball tracking. Oh, he's going to be so good. If they get him to replace Harrison Smith, yikes.
They talking like he a 6th round pick. And I'm like, this dude is a steal. But check this out. In Detroit land, we know we gonna get Makuba. We know it. It's literally written in stone. And I'm like Makuba, but I'm like, you guys can. I'm like, just get defensive line the first 3 picks. Y'all can get this dude. Y'all could get Woodson in like the 4th round, and he understands route combinations.
4th or 5th round. Yep, 4th or 5th.
Yeah, because I watch the interviews these guys do. And like Jahdae Barron knows exactly what a wide receiver is going to do from the way they stand. Like he can break down, okay, did his gloves move? Okay, so his gloves moved and he tightened his gloves. So now he's going to get the ball. So it's a passing play. So even if I go with him, so is he happy? Is he sad? Like he's watching everything. That's why I like Jahdae Barron. See, I'm like, because that's how I found Kobe Turner, because Kobe Turner not only had the great pressure rate, and that's what we identified Kobe Turner on this channel, but I also seen 2 or 3 interviews with Kobe Turner, and he knew why he was showing these moves, particularly in the 1st and 3rd quarter, and he knows why he had to go back to this move in the 2nd quarter and the 4th quarter, and he knows why he's doing what he's doing. When a person can articulate the exact, like the strategy, the mind game, like a Devontae Adams when he did that interview, the mind game of playing their position.
Yep.
Next level.
Next level. That's why I love. I mean, he's my number 1 corner. I know he's not everybody's number 1 corner. He's my number 1.
Oh yeah.
Who else? Do we have a player to do
Desmond Watson?
That's a good one. Desmond Watson. Potential. I'll just say potential. That's my 1 word.
Potential. What is this position? I've never heard of him.
Okay, so first of all, that was part of the problem in his college career. Certain players are playing out of position, or possibly playing out of position in their collegiate career. Another beyond big. So that's the guy you were talking about. That's the enormous guy from Florida.
Oh, yeah.
If he gets drafted, it'll be the heaviest player ever to get drafted. There are some good news and bad news things about him. the biggest issue is number of snaps, right? The biggest issue for him is number of snaps. Can he play more than a quarter of the snaps? Now he managed to slim down. So the heaviest player who's ever since the modern weight, since we actually have official weights, was 387 pounds, right? The heaviest player who's ever actually been, drafted in the modern era when we actually have verifiable weights. So he would be the heaviest guy by quite a bit. He's so big. He's basically, and he ran a 5.93 40, which, I mean, I'm 58 years old and I can beat that, right? So you don't love that. You don't love 5.93. The 25-inch vert, when you consider his weight, actually isn't that bad, because that's a lot of weight to get up off the ground. But he did score 1,629th out of 1,904 defensive tackles from 1987 to now on the relative athletic scoring system of my friend, shout out to my friend Kent Lee Platt, Navy veteran.
Kent Lee Platt, yeah.
Yep, and good friend of mine. So we normally don't love the Navy around here, but I grew up in a Navy town, so I'll give the Navy some love. Kent Lee Platt. 36 reps, despite having long arms, so he has length to go with the strength to go with the length. But he just can't play that many snaps. That's the real issue you have.
Yeah. If y'all probably never heard of Kent Lee Platt, but you're sharing RAS scores on Twitter. So if you're sharing RAS scores, that's who created that.
That is the daddy.
That is the daddy.
That's the daddy. So Terrence Cody was a relative dainty person at 354 pounds, right? Mm-hmm. And we all remember the struggles he had with conditioning.
Terrence
so
Cody,
to me, that's the one big question. Can this guy overcome just getting flat out winded, right? He did play a fair number of snaps in college. That's the one thing that gives you hope. But what I noticed is he was way more effective early in games than late in games. I'm sure he's not the only person. I'm not the only person that noticed that. Yeah. So he probably needs to play fewer snaps, right?
Yeah.
He did play
situational.
Yeah, right.
We don't need any run help, by the way.
Oh, you don't? Oh, well,
yeah,
then,
we don't. Because
you can stop talking about this guy then.
Oh yeah. Because what's funny is like our pass rush win rate among everybody, the best player with the pass rush win rate was either injured or off the team. Zadarius Smith and Aiden Hutchinson. Zach Pascal was last in the league in pass rush win rate. He couldn't. Yeah. What do you think? Yikes! They got him though. I predicted him though because he beat. I was like, he's the type of person they like. What do you think of Simeon Barrow and Isaac Tesla? Isaac Tesla and Simeon Barrow.
Okay. So the Tesla, right? This guy's got so many like endorsement deals just waiting. Here's what I'll say about Tesla. Rams, right? There's you want a one-word answer for Isis? Rams, right? Rams. There's your one-word answer. Rams.
Oh wow! The Rams gonna draft him.
The Rams will draft him. Yes, there's your one-word answer. Rams. He is now. He's not as athletic as he tested. He's one of those guys that the testing isn't the player you're getting, but he's essentially what I call possession plus receiver. He gives you a little more than possession, but if you look at his testing, you think he's a deep threat. He is not. But he is a big-bodied receiver with good hands. He's a willing special teams guy, a pretty good blocker. In fact, a pretty. I'd say not quite Pat Bryant. Doesn't block pissed off like Pat Bryant does, but he's a well above average. Like he's a good, solid blocker. And if you give him a runway, he can get up to that speed. But you don't see that speed so often because they don't give him the kind of routes where he gets to build up to that kind of speed.
Right.
But is he capable of running really fast? Yes. But he hasn't been asked to run the kind of routes where you get to see that kind of speed. And he's probably going to be treated like a possession receiver.
I meant to ask you still keep up with the Colts? The Colts still reach out to you?
I talk to the Colts every now and again, yes.
Okay. Like this period?
Yeah, I've talked to one or two people who are around the Colts organization. Did you have a Colts specific question?
I just want to know what they're doing at quarterback because I don't know, what they got going on.
Obviously, they're very much hoping that Anthony Richardson blossoms. because that saves everyone's job, right? If he's good this year, we don't have everybody doesn't have to get fired. Daniel Jones is obviously there to put a little heat on him, right? To that'll maybe help him to focus. But you don't want to start Daniel Jones. I promise you, that's not why they brought Dan. They didn't bring him in to win the job. If he wins the job, once again, people are going to start.
That's the worst quarterback.
Well,
in the league.
If he wins the job, it means that you got to start brushing up your LinkedIn and like polishing up some things.
Well, the resume ready.
You're going to be interviewing again, right? If Daniel Jones is your starter more than 50% of the year, you're going to have to start working on get ready for interviewing.
I'm sorry. If I was a coach in the NFL, Sirianni Barrio.
What do you here's what I like. I thought I was going to be asked just about big name players. I love that you guys dig deep. This is awesome. So fun fact, he's named after the high school that my lovely ex-wife attended, the Wolverines of Simeon Career Academy. He is named after Simeon High School. Or Simeon Rice, who's named after Simeon High School. Either that, maybe that's actually how it worked out. But Simeon Rice is a Chicago kid named after Simeon High School. Once again, another powerful
This is just a black
guy.
and mild. That's just a cigar.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Yes. Another guy who plays with power, right? So I know you guys are liking guys who play with power. There's another guy who wins when he wins with power. He is capable of carrying 300 pounds, but he's slimmed down, probably to run at the combine or whatever. But he's played over 300, but he was in the low 290s most recently.
Mm-hmm.
Things you like about him. Once again, another classic 3-tech, but you could play him other places as well. A guy that shows you, once again, terrific run defender, if you care about that, once again, has good pad level, has good instincts, knows how to use his hands violently, right? Violent hand usage, can disengage from blockers, cares about the game a lot, right? You could tell this guy cares about football, cares about the game. He'll jump in people's faces at times when he thinks he needs to, not afraid to confront his teammates if he thinks that's what needs to happen.
Sound like a lion already.
Yes, right, exactly. He'll never be a great pass rusher, but occasionally will flash some pass rush. His body type doesn't match his pass rush moves. Like he's a powerful player, but he tends to have finesse-ish pass rush moves. It's like he lacks a little self-awareness, maybe about what pass moves he should throw.
Pascal like that. He thought he was finesse, and he was this strong rusher all this time. But
yeah. So he needs to learn more and different pass rush moves. He could become a really good pass rusher on the interior if he, like I said, becomes more self-aware. So if your coaches are good at identifying guys' strengths and weaknesses and getting them to lean into their strengths, he'll improve as a pass rusher. And he'll never be much more than maybe 301, 302 pounds, which doesn't bother me.
What do you think of Gillette? Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Oh, actually, Gillette. Once again, I guess my guy is he's one of my guys. He's one of Bill's guys.
Okay.
Yeah. And Jackson Woodard. I guess I'm going to double up on these two. These are two players I like. I like Gillette even better than I like Woodard. Woodard to me is a guy who will play in the NFL. He'll have a role. I don't think he ever becomes a full-time starter. In the right system, Ashton Gillette is a starter in the right system. Now, he doesn't do everything well, but we care enough about guys who are pure pass rushers nowadays that we make allowances for guys that, once again, as we say, play that. We just talked about Braden Fisk, right? He plays the run on the way to the quarterback. If you don't mind that from a guy, you're getting that. Now, the tweener thing, that'd be the one word. The one word would be tweener, right? Okay. When you're 6'2.5" and 276 or whatever, there are people who wonder if you have the length to be a defensive end, and can we kick you inside? Whatever. All those stuff people wonder about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the right system, he's a starter. Not day one, right? But he becomes a starter in the right system. He's a longer Elmas Duberville, right? A taller or whatever Elmas Duberville, right? Mm-hmm. Doesn't have the arm length, but has more height. 31 and 7/8 inch arms, which is slightly under what you're shooting for.
Right.
He played in the 270s. He slimmed down to 264 for the combine. He could carry 280, low 280s, even without it really weighing him down or bothering what he could do. But you saw explosiveness: 10-foot broad jump, 36.5-inch vert. Knocked out 24 bench reps, which is partially due to not having the world's longest arms. But he is a speed to power, power to speed guy, right? He uses his speed to create power, uses power to create speed, right? Because once he makes contact with you, he can rock even bigger guys back, right? Because of that pop he has in his hips, right? He knows how to roll his hips and put that into you, right? I love that about him, in fact. Those are things that I really like about him. And like I said, it just comes down to your system. He would be an ideal 3-4 outside linebacker who can walk down and play with his hand on the ground. But this is a guy that had a 6.943 cone. There are receivers who won't have a zone, who will be drafted in the top 60 picks of this draft. That's the kind of quickness and explosiveness that you get from Ashton Lott. 4.63 at the pro day, which translates to about 4.69 if you'd run it at the combine. You get the home field advantage, creates a little bit of slightly unrealistic number there, but still, he's a really good athlete. That's what I always to say.
Right.
He's just a really, really good athlete.
Yeah, I think that, in terms of, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
In terms of my media, man, I'm telling you this. These are my guys, okay? These are my guys, and I'm sticking to it. I come away with 3 or 4 of these guys, and you notice something, right? They're not all first-round picks. The meat of this draft to me is in the 2nd, 3rd round, 4th round, and you can really build a roster in this way and with this collective of guys. So I'm enjoying.
Be tempted to trade out of the first, right? Which makes people mad. Fans really get mad when you trade out of the first, but you're picking almost in the 2nd anyway, right? You're picking at the very tail end of the 1st round. Exactly. If you get an extra 3rd rounder for dropping down, into say a team like the Jets, see a player love sliding, right? And you get their 2nd rounder, their 3rd rounder, and their 2nd rounder, right? You get a pick swap, right? And then you pick up a 3rd rounder from them. That's an early 3rd rounder to go with what you've already got.
Right. Because, the Lions like to have this crop, and they worship their draft board. So they have a crop of guys who they all love. Everyone, they have 5 guys who they love. They're non-negotiables. And I believe there was Sewell was like their top guy, but after that it was Micah Parsons, and then they had the draft with Witherspoon. Oh, is something going on in the background?
Anyway, just somebody driving by with their music turned up all the way to 11.
They had the Witherspoon draft where they liked Witherspoon a lot, but they also like Branch. And Seattle uses Witherspoon just like we use Branch. So they had this crop of guys where they really love them. They love these players. And they're like, well, we love these players, these 5. We're going to draft one of these 5. We'll be very happy because they all love. It's like a unanimous, that's why I don't know how Terrion was picked. But I don't know how I go in the meeting room and I see all these hands grabbing. I see him playing the slot for 400 snaps, and I say, this is my cornerback too. But I never mind, man. I ain't never mind. He all right, man. I gotta.
Right.
He's all right. He's
Is
always
there
gonna be all right.
anybody else that you want to do the rapid fire stuff with?
What's funny? A Bears fan has asked about Ashton Jeanty, and I got to get your opinion on this because
so I won't do rapid fire with Ashton Jeanty because that's not played really rapid fire with. Here's what I will say: he's an 80-something percentile guy in everything that you know about except time speed because he refused to be timed, right? which tells you something. When a guy's a healthy scratch from running the 40, it means that he wasn't going to run a super fast time. Fast guys want to run, right? Fast guys want to show off. That's built into you. People have genetic speed, also have genetic desire to show it off. So he's probably going to run in the mid 4.5s. Guess what? Walter Payton ran in the mid 4.5s. A lot of the great running backs ran in the mid 4.5s. I don't have a problem with him running in the mid 4.5s. That's probably what he's going to run. We'll never know for sure. Aaron Jones, right? If he ends up being a larger, slightly larger version of Aaron Jones, right, where he's got a little more power than Aaron Jones, but similar otherwise, you're happy with that, right? If you get basically just a slightly larger version of Aaron Jones, I think that's what he
Aaron
becomes.
Jones.
He becomes a
Yeah.
slightly larger Aaron Jones. So if it's a 2-word answer, my 2-word answer is, well, 3 words: swole Aaron Jones. If you like
I love him in.
swole Aaron Jones, there's your
I
guy.
love.
He's
I love him in. I love him in gap scheme because they played a lot of that. They played a
Yep.
lot of duo, and when they and his like his intelligence, and then the fact that he can like stop not on a dime, but it's like he slows down on a dime, and then he gets this pop, and then he still holds the same strength moving forward. I'm like, oh snap, because I had to look at Jamari Caldwell, so I looked at Jamari Caldwell just in case we go with nose tackle because look, DJ Reader got 1 year 1 year left, so I need to have the wherewithal of everybody, and I'm telling you, man, I like Jamari and what's his name. I like those 2 Oregon guys, but they need each other. It's weird. It's a weird relationship.
Yeah, you're talking about Birch and Birch
yeah.
also.
No, I'm not talking about Birch. I'm talking about.
Oh, the other
what's
tackle.
the other?
You're talking about Harmon.
Harmon and Caldwell need each other. They need each other because their weakness is their strength. Because Jamari gets there, but he doesn't get home. And the other guy, he just gets blown up sometimes. But he's like all or nothing.
Harmon is a really good athlete, but he definitely doesn't have quite as much, ballast as you'd like. Like he can get ragdolled at times. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. So I like Birch because Birch plays this almost like 5-eye, 4-eye, like 7, 9. Like he can go inside the tackles, inside shoulder, and he can go outside and get pressure. So that's intriguing to me.
Yeah,
and you said Birch.
I would love to have him in Pittsburgh, right? Because we need to we're about to have a changing of the guard at some of our key positions on defense, and I think he would fit well in what we do.
Oh, you don't think you'll have a change in the guard coach or a front office?
People have been saying that for a while. Well, I mean, I don't think Omar Khan's going anywhere anytime soon. And I mean, I don't know if you've heard, but the Steelers don't believe in turnover. Mr. Spirit of Detroit. That's not something they really do.
Yeah. Well,
So
God bless y'all.
I think all those people who keep predicting, like the last 3 seasons, there's all these. It's a good way to get a cheap article knocked out, though. Where could the Steelers go? With at blah blah. At next year. It's always next year. Okay, yeah, Tomlin's going to get this year, but what about next year? Tomlin will be coaching when we're all dead.
Look, I'm going to throw a jab. It's not at you because I respect you a lot. I'm going to throw a jab. My worst fear is being y'all. First round knockout. That's my first.
Going 9-8, 10-7 every year and getting knocked out the first round of the playoffs. Yeah, that's welcome to my nightmare.
The Lions going to do it worse. They're going to be first seed. They're going to be like the Dallas, the first seed, explosive, on the ESPN every week, every day. And that's my worst fear is being so relevant and then getting to the postseason and not being relevant enough. That's my worst fear. What do you think of Jack Sawyer? There's only one Jack in the draft. There's only one Jack. He went from the first round to the second to the third.
So if I said like somebody was like a poor person, not poor, but like Timu. So Sam Hubbard is Timu Jack Sawyer, right? So now you're getting the Abercrombie and Fitch. I don't know what's a good way to put this. Calvin Klein. You're getting the Calvin Klein version of Sam Hubbard, where everything's a little more bespoke, a little more custom tailored, a little better, right? He's better in every way, a little stronger, a little faster, a little bit. He's not an elite anything, right? Yeah. He's good at everything, though. He's good at everything, but he's not elite at anything. At no point do you say, "Oh my God, Jack Sawyer's amazing," right? That's not something you're ever going to say. But if you love the Kyle Vanden Bosches of the world, if you love, right, man, that guy is solid. Do you love the word solid? Because you're going to say, like, I hate using the same word over and over again in my scouting reports, but I make an exception for Jack Sawyer because I kept using the word solid like 18 different ways when I wrote up his scouting report.
I call him the little engine that could, because in the defensive end class, we have a lot of great athletes, but he just does everything so good, but he doesn't have that much like explosiveness to his game, so he's gonna fall. So I think he's worth 28, but if you could trade back and get him the first pick of the second round, I think that's worthy. He's worthy of the first pick of the second round.
He's going to go somewhere in the second. I believe he's going to go somewhere in the second. And it comes, I mean, I think about teams that like that kind of player. You guys would obviously like that kind of player. The Bengals clearly have a type. I mean, they had Sam Hubbard, right? They would love another Sam Hubbard, but this one's better. I think he's a good fit for the 49ers also, what they like, right? They like that kind of guy. So yeah, there's teams that he's their type. He's their type. And he's going to play 12 years in the NFL.
That's it.
Go to a couple of...
That's it. See, that's what I like. See, I like high floor players when they're defensive ends and linebackers. So I like a Jahad Campbell as a linebacker. Like, okay. Yep. I see people saying move him to 3-4. No, he's an ILB. He's an inside linebacker. Yeah. Truly, he's a high floor player. Exactly. If I'm picking the late
like linebackers, yeah, God still makes like linebackers. Right. Yeah.
My chat was getting me to watch Shamar Stewart for the longest. They was trying to tell Shamar Stewart, man, Shamar Stewart. I'm like, y'all did all this for this? When I turned on the film last week, y'all did all this for this?
Okay, so I talked to Shamar Stewart twice. I talked to him both at the Senior Bowl and again at the Combine. And he's working on it, right? He's another guy that had no idea what he was doing. And he admits it, right? He admits it flat out. He said, I didn't know what I was doing as a pass rusher. He says it. He said it just that way. He said, I didn't have a pass rush plan. He didn't have a plan A. Forget a plan B. So he would whip the guy ahead of him, just destroy him, and then not know what to do, right? So he's not for a team that wants immediate returns. He's not for your team. He's for a team that is building for the future. He should go to somebody that's got a 2-3 year window before they're ready to be something, because he's going to take a while to give you what you want. When I asked him for a comparison, he himself said Jadeveon Clowney as a comparison for what he thought he was. So do with that what you will. Do with that information what you will.
So you're at the Combine and you're asking him for a comparison of what he is, and he says Jadeveon Clowney.
That is what he said in his own words. Yes.
Wow. All flash, no full substance there. That's crazy. If he said that about himself. See, that's why I like you. How many players have you scouted this season?
Enough to write up, about 320 something. And I've watched 400 plus, but there's guys where I don't consider scouting if I watch 2-3 games. I got to get to 6 games before I feel like I really know who you are as a player. Wow. So I still have about I want to get to at least 350. So I've got a few more guys to get 2 or 3 more games on. I will lock my I'll lock in my mind my spreadsheet in what's today? In probably about a week or so. I'll get those last few games on, and then I'm gonna make myself stop. Because if I don't, I'll keep scouting guys until literally they're calling names at the draft. Right. So I have to make myself stop. But yeah, I want to get at least 350 guys that I've got 6 games on.
Your conversation with Brad Holmes, did he allude to anything, or did he say anything that we could grab onto when you had a conversation with Brad Holmes?
I mean, they're always vague, so you have to sort of read the tea leaves, because you're not trying to tip your hand. He made it clear that they wanted more speed on both sides of the ball. But being like, who doesn't? But he did say that. He did make it clear that they wanted more speed on both sides of the ball.
Real content. Clip it up. Somebody clip this up. They want more speed on the offensive side.
On both offense and defense. Yes, he made it clear they wanted more speed.
I told y'all about J-Mo. He gone. He's gone. J-Mo is gone. It's gone. I'm paying him $15 million a year.
He made it clear that they wanted quality depth on both the offensive and defensive line. They wanted to be deeper. And he did mention that they wanted to be more diverse on defense, right? Now, he didn't go into any details about what that meant. But I assume that you guys are going to do more different kinds of things, both in terms of coverage and even alignment, probably on defense than you've done in the past. That's my guess.
So we might be looking at a 3-4, because that's what...
You might be multiple, is what I'm thinking. Is what you're probably going to be multiple.
And that's how it starts. that's how it always starts, don't it? It start multiple. So when you talk to Brad Holmes,
A little bit,
break this
yeah.
down. When you talk to Brad Holmes, he said he wants to be more diverse on defense.
Yes, he did mention that.
And
quality depth on both lines and speed on both sides of the ball. We will be faster.
All right. Look, y'all know what to do. Clip it up. This is Spirit of Detroit. You never gonna get nothing like this. I don't know why people don't watch like y'all never gonna get nothing like this. Like, and look, this is my guy, but I don't think he's gonna be there. James Pierce.
James Pierce. Now, here's where timeout real quick. He does not like people, and he pretty much said as much. He's not a people person. Now, I know you said you guys care a lot about character. He's not a character issue in the sense of
Brad do.
Right. Oh, okay. Right. My apologies. I want to make it clear. He's not a character issue in the sense of like robbing liquor stores or stuff like that. That's not. He's just not a guy that. He's not a guy that's going to take everyone to Top Golf. Right. He's not a guy that wants to hang out. He's not a guy that is going to give great interviews or really give interviews at all if he could help it. He doesn't want to see sick kids at the hospital. He wants to play football. I'm just telling you that he just wants to play football and go home. So if you're okay with a guy who just plays football and goes the heck home, that's it.
You just described Jameson Williams. But it's funny. Jameson Williams started out that way, but he's not that way. Like he's at Detroit downtown. He's at functions. He's at camps. He's at Cass Technical High School. That's like our like magnet school in Detroit. He's over there,
Cass is a factory.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know you're familiar. Michigan. That's the Michigan factory right there.
Good Lord, you could make a pretty good team just from guys that went to Cass. So if you are okay with a guy who is a terrific pass rusher and doesn't care about much of anything else but rushing the passer, right? That's pretty much it. He wants to show up at your facility, rush the passer, sack some quarterbacks, and then go home. He doesn't want to give interviews. I mean, he'll, do whatever the minimum is in terms of, I guess, not getting fined, but he doesn't like hanging around. He doesn't want to get to know everything about you. He doesn't want to hang out. He doesn't want to, like I say, he's not inviting you to Top Golf. He's none of that, right? He's not going hunting with you. He's not going fishing with you. None of that. He said he doesn't really have hobbies. He says, I play football. He just wants to play football and go home.
And that's where the character issues come into concern because he's not a people person. So how will he deal with fans? And how will he deal with the media and people who contextualize a bad game versus a good game, a 5-sack game versus a no-sack game? So I could see when they say character issues, they got to have a DEFCON 5, a DEFCON 1. They gotta have some character. Oh, he's a DEFCON 2.
The only stuff legal wise that he has is he has 9 unpaid parking tickets. He parks where he wants to. He doesn't care about that for whatever reason. So he'll park wherever. If it's a tow-away zone, if it's a whatever, he just parks. So he has 9 unpaid parking tickets from his time in college. But he's not a guy who's beating up women. He's not robbing liquor stores. It's not like that. He just doesn't like to be around people that much unless he's playing football. And then he wants to just go home. Yeah, that's it. Football, home.
I mean, y'all heard it here first on the Spirit of Detroit podcast. We got it down to the science with Bill Carroll. Okay, we got it down to the science. I'm going to only hold you for 7 more minutes.
I got 7 more minutes to spare.
Hey, look, this is great. We got the character issues out the way for James Pierce. Oh, you don't like people? Me neither. Okay, I work for the federal government. I can't like nobody right now. I can't like nobody. I don't like what? I'm trying to keep my job and go home.
That's basically all he wants to do. He wants to sack quarterbacks and go home. That is James Pierce.
Is there a person in the draft that you think the Lions must have? Like there's a must have and a must stay away. Is there a must have and a must stay away?
Okay, those are 2 fascinating questions. I'll answer them. I think I'll go with the stay away first. So you mentioned Shamar Stewart a second ago, and I don't think he's going to be a bust, right? I don't think he'll be but I think he's a project. He's a long-term project. You're gonna have to bring him along slowly. And I think what you want is someone who's going to immediately come out and at least give you, even if there's a part-time player, immediate production. So as much as I like the player's talent, his talent is, I mean, he might be the most physically talented player in the whole draft. He's only one of the top three, up with Imamori and a few other guys. He's one of the most talented players physically in the whole draft. But he is a long-term project. So I'm not trashing his potential, but he doesn't make much sense for we're trying to win right now. It doesn't make much sense for you. And if I'm in that draft room and you got you talked about depth. You found your number one, or your number two, right? Your number two to Hutchinson. You found that guy. You got Ezeraku or someone like that already. And then, right. And then it's late in the 5th round. And you're just sort of twiddling your thumbs and Colin Oliver is still there. Listen to me now and hear me later, as the Hans and Franz guys used to say. There will not be a better, somewhere in the 170s, 180s off the board guy they're going to find than a guy like Colin Oliver. He is a pure pass rushing specialist. So you may not get anything else out of him really than pass rush. But you bring that guy in your special package where you just put 4 pass rushers line up and just go, he's going to get you, even as a guy that plays 20% of the snaps, 22.5% of the snaps, might get you 6 sacks, right? This is a part-time player. He's that kind of pass rusher. I would love to have him. He's the kind of guy that ends up falling to teams like the Eagles, and you're running like, how does this keep happening, right? He's that kind of player where you're mad later that he goes to a team that just sort of, even as just a part-timer, he's just wrecking your game plan. He is just for development of knowing how to use his moves and when to set them up. He's as developed as any pass rusher who's going to go in the top 50 picks. He's just smaller, right? He's just in this big. He's 242 pounds and, almost 6'2". So he's just not as big as some of the other guys, but he's got everything else. He's explosive and powerful and very developed.
You were instrumental in, I have to thank you because you helped my perfect score in 2022. So when I found Malcolm Rodriguez, I heard his name a lot during the combine, and I found Malcolm Rodriguez. To put him on my board for the Lions, I had to come to you and say, all right, can he play zone? Because we need a zone linebacker. Because that tackling machine, we had Jamie Collins coming off 100 tackles, and he was nobody. And when you said he could play a little zone, and then guess what? Guess what happened? I put him on my draft board. I said, we are going to draft Malcolm Rodriguez. The
best tackler in college football was Malcolm Rodriguez.
And
the best tackler in all college football.
Once you co-signed that he was a good player, I put him on the Lions draft board. 2 weeks later, the Lions had a pro day visit with him. I did the video. I said, well, it looks like we go draft him. And then guess what? I did the video. And then they put him on. Then I did another video. Said, it looks like we're going to draft him. And then guess what happened? They drafted him. He was a star on Hard Knocks. He's like a fan favorite. People like Malcolm Rodriguez. Like Malcolm Rodriguez can do.
Every time there's a Lions game, I see 2 or 3 Malcolm Rodriguez jerseys in the stands.
Yeah. I want to ask you, they're asking about Pierce's run defense. They're asking about Pierce's run defense.
He's not terrible at it. He just doesn't care about it. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean.
You talk to him and he don't care?
Okay, let me rephrase that. When he cares about it, he's good at it. But you can tell he knows the money is in rushing the passer. He is more than capable as a run defender. He's actually pretty decent at it. It just isn't top of his mind. Is probably how I should put it. Don't care is an exaggeration. He doesn't. It's not true. He doesn't care. It's that it's clearly second. It's very much secondary in his mind. He wants to get his hands on the quarterback. If he sees the quarterback has given the ball to a running back, he'll tackle the running
back. Yeah. Statistics show that he had one of the higher run defense rates of anybody. Yeah. So he's not like our boy from Oregon who who's just blowing up the play. Who was that we were talking about? No, Alfred
We were talking
Collins, who was
about Alfred
just blowing up the play and disappearing, and we don't know where he's at. He's like,
right.
Oh, it's a run. Okay. Like, and I compare him to Deion Jordan, that slender body. I would like him in a 3-4, but I see him as a 4-3 guy. I see him, he could be a 4-3 guy. I see him with his hand in the dirt. I see him go against tackles. I see him go inside of tackles, outside of tackles. I see him do a lot more things that are valuable. I still got to comb over his tape.
Unlike Deion Jordan, he actually can fight through blocks, which Deion Jordan never figured out. He's got some actual strength, right? Some power in his hands, with Deion Jordan. Mr. Pillow Hands, Deion Jordan never figured out how to get pop and power in his hands. I mean, he had everything you look for. I mean, all that length and versatility, but shock. He never shocked a single guy back, right? He never rocked anybody back. He never made somebody reset, right? He never developed any power.
Okay. What about this? This will be a Lions dream right here. I think they're going to draft somebody from Michigan, but I don't think it's going to be Grant. Do you think we get Pierce and Grant?
The only way I could see that happening is if it's a trade up scenario, probably. So let's say you get Pierce. Because of the character stuff, Pierce is available to you in the first. And then you trade up in the second. Because I think Grant goes somewhere in the first 10 picks of the second round. Okay. So you got to trade up in the second to get to it.
Okay. Because people think Grant is a first round pick. Like, to me, there's only 15 guys, maybe 10 guys they're going to be first rounds no matter what. Like, they're going to be the rest of the guys is like this draft from like pick 15 first round to pick 102 is loaded. So you got to build you got to build. And you talked about Oliver, who is, I haven't seen Oliver. I haven't heard his name. I haven't seen him pop up on any of my analytic charts, but I'm going to be looking for this Oliver character. And if he falls to the Eagles, I'm going to have a problem.
You will have a problem. He's such just a good, pure pass rusher. And like I said, it's just size is the only reason. But, I mean, that's what happened to Nolan Smith a little bit, right? Yeah. Nolan Smith is 238 pounds, but you use him the right way, and he's destroying people's game plans.
Yeah.
So it's just about usage.
Right. So right now, I'm going to get you out of here. I'm going to have everybody, get your LinkedIn, your YouTube, your everything that's valuable, right? Because you make a lot of valuable content, and you're always in the Draft Nerds conversation. I haven't seen you there lately, but I know you're in Twitter.
You'll see me again soon. I'll be about to drop. Speaking of the Colts, it's funny you mentioned the Colts. I'm going to drop an article about the Colts off season. You'll see that next week in Team MBS Media, talking about, once again, their upcoming draft needs, what they've already done in free agency, and their priorities. I'll drop one about the Chiefs the week after that, and I'll drop some scouting reports on Zennie62 Media, and then I'll sometime, maybe in the next week and a half or so, I'll drop my top 300 to 350 players. The goal is 350. If I end up less than that, I'll end up less than that. My goal is 350, and I'll do an actual thumbnail sketch of the first maybe 100 of them, and then just sort of height, weight, whatever on the last 250 of them.
What?
Yeah, they'll drop. Yeah.
You know what you could do? I don't know if you do draft guys, but I could start editing for you draft guides, and you can put them out. You can monetize that. You push that in your LLC.
If you're serious, we'll start putting. It might be too late to do one this year, but I've already started doing some work because I'm a psycho on next year's draft. I mean, obviously you're projecting forward a little bit, but I think 2026 is really fun. If you are a team that didn't get everything you needed this year, just you wait. I think that next year, especially so defense this year, offense next year. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
This is the year to get your defensive itch scratched, and then next year load up on offense. That's what I'm seeing in my projections so far. But yes, you can find my work on Team MBS. So it's at Team MBS Media. On Twitter, X, whatever they call it, it's at Team MBS Live is the Twitter handle. My Twitter handle is at 11. That's 11 with ELE. It's the word 11, not the number, but at 11 Bravo 138 on Twitter. I'm dropping some content on Zennie62 Media. So if you go to YouTube and just type in Zennie62 Media, you'll see the Zennie what's it called, with the first pick, S1ST, not FIRST, is the sub draft channel underneath Zennie62 Media.
Because what's going to happen is the draft guides, like, I'll talk to you off cam about the monetization, but you do a draft guide and you just move that data from, what would you call that? Excel. Yeah. Move that data from a spreadsheet to a quantifiable graphic, like a chart, maybe. Next thing you know, you sell that for $15 a pop. You have 100 subscribers. What's that? $1,500. Really easy money. Well, not that I know how to make money or anything. I'm just an 11 life path living in America.
We'll definitely talk off air. But I have the interest. The problem is time. But I definitely can carve out, if you think there's $1,500 to be made, I might be able to carve out the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure. And then that's just with the Lions people.
Right.
That's not other fan base, other 20 fan bases.
There are other fan bases.
I got you, man.
There.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah, man.
Well, I want to thank you so much for this opportunity. I'll talk draft anytime, any place, anywhere, and I love the fact that, because I follow football, period. And, I saw the tragedy that was Billy Sims' career, right? A guy who was headed to the Hall of Fame and, unfortunately his career cut short. I remember watching, just so many great players cycle through Detroit. And, now it's coming together, right? If this year or next year you guys win it all, well, two things will happen. One is it'll shut up 31 other fan bases, which will be satisfying, I would assume, right? To take yourself off that list of franchises that never won a Super Bowl. But this is a deserving fan base, right? I've never met a Detroit Lions fan I met who wasn't for real, right? I mean, you might get some bandwagon fans now, I guess. I guess maybe that's changing. But all the fans I met of the Lions to this point were people that had invested blood, sweat, tears, a lot of tears particularly, and they earned it, right? Like, they earned it. Like, when they hoist that Lombardi, those people deserve, like, they should have, it should be, first of all, like, everyone should have the day off in Detroit. That should be just a day off, right? The day after they win the Super Bowl should be a day off. No one works, right? We'll bail everybody out, like food. We'll bail you food. We'll bail you whatever. Here's a medical kit if you hurt yourself. Just stay at home. Just stay at home and drink. Right? Because that's what you're going to do anyway. Don't even bother going into work.
Right. It's National Hangover Day.
It's National Hangover Day in Detroit. Because you guys deserve it, man. You really do.
Yeah. I appreciate you and all your NFL expert insight, man. And I appreciate the chat. We stayed above 32, which was, higher for me, because I'm usually getting 29, 26. But we know we got good content here. We know. Shout out to y'all, Spirit of Detroit. Like, comment, subscribe. You can find him on Twitter. I'm gonna post this stuff below if y'all don't see it or y'all don't hear it. And just love y'all. I see y'all, man. Got a great intro. We should do that mock draft I did.
We'll do something again soon. Yeah. So let me know what your next couple weeks look like, and I'll find a day in the next 2 weeks we can do it.
All right, absolutely. I hope you stay for the outro and see the good content we got over here.
I sure will.
All right, brother.
Season, homie. It's not about today. It's about the future. You do the work now, and all of the shit that you could ever want to do for your family, your kids, your loved ones, it's all going to be on a whole nother stratosphere. It's time to stay focused.